Thank you everyone for joining. Good morning, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to this webinar on NoSQL and spatial database capabilities using PostgreSQL. My name is Violet Seah from EDB APJ Marketing, and I will be your host today. Before we start, here are some housekeeping items. The slides and recording of this session will be sent to you after the webinar. If you have a question, please submit it via the Q&A box. You can see the icon at the bottom of your screen. Our presenter today is Manshu Shah, Senior Sales Director, Senior Sales Engineer at EDB. And as both of us are working from home, if there are any connectivity issues, we ask for your patience and understanding. So now, without further ado, over to you, Manshu.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and thanks, Violet. So yeah, today's topic NoSQL and spatial database capabilities using PostgreSQL. In this webinar, we are going to cover NoSQL capabilities in PostgreSQL. As you already aware of that, PostgreSQL is a relational database management system. But how we can add the NoSQL capabilities, we can plug in these capabilities to the PostgreSQL. Apart from that, PostgreSQL supports for GIS applications. That's why there are some spatial database capabilities, there's spatial database features, which I'm going to cover in this webinar. Then we have the foreign data wrapper. For foreign data wrapper, we can bring the data from other data sources from MongoDB or Hadoop data, and how we can pull the data. That will be the discussion of today's webinar, and how PostgreSQL fits for the enterprises that we are discussing today. The most of the topics, as there are NoSQL topic, foreign data wrapper, PostGIS. So what I'm doing here, so some of the topics I'm going to cover at high level, and after my next series or in part 2, part 3, one by one topics will be a more deeper dive will be there. So doing more with the PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL is an open source alternative for commercial RDBMS because it's open source. That's why you can reduce the cost. And there are some database companies like Enterprise DB, they worked on PostgreSQL. They have added the features, they have added the performance features, some of the tools. And if we compare this Enterprise DB, or I can say that Enterprise edition of PostgreSQL, again, they reduce costs as compared to the proprietary databases, and the cost reduction is around 60 to 70%. The companies are now looking for the multi-model platform. They are looking one single database that should be flexible, that should be deployed on cloud, and that should give many more features like NoSQL features are there, big data features. That's why the organizations are looking to the PostgreSQL as a best alternative, and definitely flexible license model, as I said. Again, it is a very stable, ACID compliant, object oriented database, and give the better performance. It's not only for the internal applications, but the organization for their GIS applications, for their NoSQL applications, as well as OLTP applications, the RDBMS platform as PostgreSQL they are choosing. Now, as part of the today's topic, that if developers or the applications need a requirement of document database, then why not to the NoSQL? Because we know that the organizations are, due to the large volume of data, there are the challenges of to manage the NoSQL applications. And if you are getting the same, again, there are some of the limitations for NoSQL databases that I'll cover. And to overcome that, if you want both the things like ACID compliant, the standard SQL, as well as NoSQL features, and sometimes for your big data applications, for your data analytic applications, you want data from other data sources like MySQL, MongoDB, Hadoop, or other data sources, then we have the foreign data wrapper that will help you to build your applications for your data analysis applications. That's why I am going to cover some of the points on the foreign data wrappers and how we can build the foreign data wrappers. Then PostGIS, that will be the, that's why I am saying that we can do more, not only the RDBMS, we can do unstructured data you can store on the PostgreSQL. As I said, PostgreSQL multi-model because it helps for migration, best alternative solutions for the proprietary databases as per the cost reduction. Due to the multi-language supports, it supports multi-language. Most of the programmers is the best choice as a PostgreSQL. It helps for the new application development. A very flexible, feasible new application development is possible with the PostgreSQL. It supports for cloud and containers. Then OLTP applications, that is system of records, OLTP applications, analysis applications, it provides connectors, and the compatible connectors are there, and these connectors can easily integrate with the other data resources. That's why the system of analysis, such type of workloads can be handled with the help of PostgreSQL. Diversity of deployments, either is any type of cloud, private cloud, infrastructure as a services, database as a service, or virtual private cloud, PostgreSQL fits there. So it is a multi-model. And again, as I am discussing here, how it fits for the big data, how it fits for the NoSQL environment, that will be the discussion. Let's go something about the history of PostgreSQL. It's object relational databases. That's why it is Operational Research Development Foundation has completed its development in 1994. It builds upon classes and inheritance. It's highly extensible. It supports all data types. Multiple data types are supported, and some of the data types in the form of NoSQL that I'm going to discuss here. Then indexes are possible. Different types of indexes we can do. Special indexes, GIST indexes is possible, and then it supports for multiple operators and functions. The today's topic, that how NoSQL capabilities in PostgreSQL. So we have the foreign data wrapper. So I'll discuss the foreign data wrapper, how we can implement the foreign data wrapper. So on enterprise side, the enterprise DB portal, there are the documentation. I'm going to show you that if you plan to deploy the foreign data wrapper for your environment, for your test environment, that steps I'll show you. And for that, the foreign data wrapper supports multiple data sources. But here I'll show you how we can implement for Hadoop as well as MongoDB. In geospatial extension, this is additional extension of PostgreSQL. And when we'll discuss about PostGIS, there are the geometry data types, the geography data types are there. How we can calculate the distance, how we can calculate the polygon, how we can calculate the area of polygon or area of map, and how we can load the data to the PostgreSQL, and how this PostgreSQL will help you for your GIS applications. That discussion I'm going to show you. Then yes, there are the major benefits of NoSQL technology, that is HStore, key value pair, and the JSON data type. That is the main part of the discussion, which makes your database NoSQL. So I'll show you some of the example of JSON and the HStore part. So HStore, JSON, JSON-B, these are the data types, JSON-B binary version of JSON, and then JSON, where the document data types document data you can pass to the database, you can use the function, and you can pull the data in the form of tabular format. We can use the standard query language, as there are the limitations of standard query language for the most of the NoSQL databases. So these can be overcome with the help of PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL not only stores data, but it processes the data. That is, it processes your NoSQL data. That's why it's supported by the PostgreSQL, and PostgreSQL gives the optimizer. PostgreSQL gives the aggregate functions. It gives joins, so you can build your SQL and build your joins, build your aggregate functions, many operators. That's why you can do this operation with the help of unstructured data. That's why Postgres have unstructured database capabilities. See, DevOps Agile microservices deploying databases in Red Hat OpenShift containers or the platform, or continuous data integration that is possible. Again, schema-less NoSQL best of both the worlds, supports XML, JSON, JSON-B, and full text indexing is possible on the JSON column. That is with the help of PostgreSQL. Multi-language support, so it's freedom for the developers to suit their skills. They can use PL, SQL, PL, Python, PL, Perch, and that's why it's a multi-model for the new application development. GIS supports. GIS is an extension. I can create the GIS extension. When I create the GIS extension, that is a PostGIS extension on PostgreSQL. So just create the extension, and that geospatial extension, that your GIS application, either it is GIS data or QGIS front-end application, you can load and you can view graphically, or we can do SQL, that your standard query language. You can do the operation on your GIS data. So I can say that geospatial SQL is possible with the help of PostgreSQL. And most of the times, if you see the proprietary databases like Oracle SQL Server, they use SQL databases. But here, the geospatial is the inbuilt capabilities of PostgreSQL. There is no separate licensing models for that one, the same feature, and it is OGC consortium. NoSQL features in PostgreSQL. So some of the discussion on a NoSQL features, structure and structured data, then a foreign data wrapper. So now how NoSQL is possible? So with few features capabilities, most of the Postgres support the today's data types as well as unstructured and semi-structured data. The data is going to be, the volume of data is going to be increasing the organizations, and the organization want a faster processing of new data types. Means organization today are facing a problems with big data problems. They want the skill standard, they want the processing at the database level, at the application level, and they want to pull the data as per their format. That's why PostgreSQL is one of the solutions, because it can power many applications written for NoSQL technologies, and it gives same result as NoSQL solutions. So developer can build application in the Postgres as they write applications for the NoSQL solutions like other NoSQL databases. I can say that MongoDB, Cassandra's, and other data, Neo4j for your graph database, columnar databases are there. Now, as you know that there are the other databases are there, they are the NoSQL. I can say that the purely NoSQL databases, that is MongoDB is there. Then we have Cassandra as a columnar data storage, the Neo4j for the graph databases. So there are four prominent NoSQL technologies often referenced in big data, that is a key value store, document databases, column store, and graph store. But the most important and the challenges are there, the key value store and the document databases. And these challenges, these problems are overcome by the PostgreSQL, because PostgreSQL support relational technologies for advanced low data, as well as it supports some of the NoSQL capabilities. That's why the key value store and document database. And if you want raster data, if you want polygon data, if you want some of the geometry geography data, that is possible with the help of GIS data, 3D type of data that you can store. And image processing, you can do the images, you can store the images, you can do the image processing with the help of PostGIS. Then again, for your big data environment, for your data analysis applications, if I'm using an Hadoop, and I have the Hadoop where I am using a SDFS file system, my data is any type of time scale data is there. My data is any type of a data, and I want some of the data through HiveQL server. I can pass my SQL queries to the HiveQL through the foreign data wrapper, and that will transfer to the Hadoop environment, and it will pull the data as per your requirement. So companies also look to NoSQL for, again, there are some of the organizations, they are looking NoSQL for transaction applications that could support for new data types and new way of to store and work with them. So this is why I can say that the NoSQL is again gives that capabilities for this type of application. Again, NoSQL limitations, yeah, NoSQL databases are there. NoSQL databases are not fully ACID compliant. Again, they are not giving a standard structured query language. That's why there is a lack of powerful query languages. Not ACID compliances are there. And whenever we are performing, pulling the data from multiple tables, or you want to do some join operations, you want to do some of the referential integration is required. That is not possible with the NoSQL databases. So when I choose PostgreSQL, I have that flexibility of query language. I have the ACID compliant. It gives supports for joins referentially integrated. And the main NoSQL features are document database as well as store key value. These are the major uh, things which generally we expect from the NoSQL databases. That is possible with the PostgreSQL. And again, NoSQL technologies generally stores data. They don't process the data. And here, PostgreSQL, it stores the data, it processes the data, it gives the functions, it gives the operators. That way, you can convert your JSON data to store. You can convert your store to the JSON, and the same data, if you want in the tabular format, as per your application, that is a possibility. Again, Postgres was originally architected as object relational database designed for extensibility. So there are the capabilities in Postgres to enable, we can enable PostgreSQL, much of what NoSQL technologies. So it supports object classes and the custom data types, new capabilities, new features we could develop, or we can plug in the form of extension into the database very seamlessly. Using this level of extensibility, Postgres developers are able to build new features and capabilities as emerge. So the perfect example, as I said, JSON, the binary format of a JSON-B, and the document storage support, as well as a store key value support. So with JSON, JSON-B, or a store, Postgres can support the application for the flexibility, and we can handle that data with the help of PostgreSQL. So the first of all, we'll discuss about JSON or JSON-B, some of the example I'm showing you, and then we'll discuss for the store key value. JSON-B is a document database. Document database is nothing but your text type of a data, and significantly when support for JSON JavaScript object notation is one of the most popular data interchange formats on the web. And Postgres offers supports for JSON. So Postgres has JSON data type, which the JSON data, we can create a table with the JSON as a data type. And if I have the JSON text, I have the document, I can process, I can pass that JSON data, and I can write a query to to pull the data which is in the JSON format. And the data which is in JSON, that is a text format, when I'll store into the PostgreSQL, I can see that data in the JSON formatted, or I can see the data into the tabular format. So JSON formatted data can send directly to the database, where Postgres will not only store the data, but it also properly validate it. We can use the JSON function. Postgres can read the relational data from table and return to the application in the required format. So as I said, it gives functions and convert Postgres maintained key value by means of a store contrib model. So let's say this is the JSON example. Here I have created a create table JSON, JSON underscore data of type JSON-B. This is the sample JSON data elements are there. So that is in curly braces. That's why it is a text format. And I'm inserting a data into my JSON table. So I have created that one. So just I'll show you some example. Let me connect to my database here. So yeah, you can just verify that one also. So I'll create one database, create database test2. I'll connect my database test2. So I have connected. Now what I'll do, I'll create the table. So just I will copy paste here, not to type here. So it has created a table. And if I see select star from JSON underscore data, I don't have the rows for there. So I'm inserting this JSON data into my table, and see here, this is not tabular data, this is a text data, and how it can be supported. So just I'm pasting. let me. Okay, just let me check what it's showing. Okay, fine. So just what you can do here, I'll come to that point. So just it's a simple insert commands are there. So you just insert into JSON data values, and that data you can insert into the JSON table. When you'll insert, so yeah, this is the JSON data element with nesting, and I can select the JSON data. When I select the JSON data, I am just using here select distinct data that I'm using my SQL, which alias as a name as production from JSON data. So product, it's showing some of the products, that it's showing some of the rows in the table, that is a JSON data. Here, there is no data, but just there might be search data which is available in JSON data. Now what I have done, that I have inserted some record here, like which was my record. That was Apple phone type phone brand Acme, and it was a price 2000. This is one record which I have inserted in my JSON data table, and the data type is a JSON. So what here, so when I select the data name and the product name, so it's showing me in a tabular format. Actual data was in a JSON, but I'm selecting and it's showing it is pulling the data. It has extracted the data, which is of a brand Acme from table JSON data, and which was a text format, and it is in the tabular format. So I have stored the data, I have processed, and I am seeing the data in the tabular format. Same way, select data from JSON data. I want that this query should return JSON data in its original format. And so they just select the data from JSON data. So it will show you the data in the exact text format. Again, extract the price. I am extracting the price. Select data as a price alias that, and as iPhone price from the JSON data, where data name is an Apple phone. So that is showing for the price only for Apple phone. Then now this is the key value pair. So you can just check out. You can create the table and just you can insert the data. The same example you can follow. Due to the time constraint, I am not going to show you the demo part, just I'll show you the queries and I'll explain that one on a slide. The key value store. So this is another store country model, which can be key value pairs with it stores in a single column. It enables users to create schema-less key value, but it is ACID compliant. It is unlike pure SQL solution. The key value stores created in Postgres is ACID compliant. Store particularly handles tools for web developers or someone building application that requires ACID properties of PostgreSQL and NoSQL capabilities. Store data offers advanced indexing supports. That's why if I have a store column, I can create indexing and it will support for that indexing supports, which will help you the fast access. So this is the example here. I have created a table as store data. Again, the data types, and always you just have to create the extension for store data. So the extension will be create extension store. So just let me check for the. I'll show you that how we can create. Just it's not why. I'll just connect. There might be some. No. Or just I'll show you my. Yeah. here, what you can do on SQL prompt, just create extension store that will create the store extension. And when you'll create the store extension, it will add this functionality to the PostgreSQL, and then just create a table store data of store data types. I'll insert into store data the data values and the cost. Again, the key value pair 500, product iPhone, and the provider is Apple. So select data from store data. So select data from store data. So cost will be 500, product iPhone, and the provider will be the Apple. So this is my store data. So convert store data to JSON. I can convert my store data to JSON. So select store to JSON data from store data. So the actual data is in store format. I'm converting this store to JSON, and so that is converted into JSON format. And I'm selecting the store to JSON data in the tabular format. So I have converted. It is in the JSON data, and that is showing here with the output. Again, the JSON and ANSI SQL a great fit. So that is nothing but JSON is naturally integrated with the ANSI SQL. So JSON and RESTOR are easy to use with the help of object relational model, as well as when I'll use JSON or store data, at that time it will help you for the same, it will help you, or it will use the same SQL language, the same planner, and the same ACID compliant transaction framework. So this is the example where I'm showing you JSON and ANSI SQL example is here. Here I have used the joins or the table. I'm selecting the data from JSON data, and I can use the join with the other table, that is a products on products. So this is the way which I'm showing you. The thing is that I can select the data from JSON. I can use the joins on the JSON data. So this is the example. I have created a products table, which is a standard table. I have selected data from products. This is the SQL component or ANSI SQL table definition is here. And the same table I want in the JSON format. So just you have to say that select query returning the same result as of JSON data. Select row to JSON. This is a function. And I have applied on the products table from products. So it's showing me the JSON data in the, it's showing me that table, which is a ANSI SQL table in the JSON format. Yeah, this is one of the example. I have just see PostgreSQL. I have compiled this one. So I created a table test A JSON B, copy test from. I have some of the text file, and in that text file, this was my JSON data, or I can say that this is my document file, and this document file I have copied into my test table, and I have created a table beneficiary and beneficiary ID, the columns. And when I use these functions like insert into beneficiary active, I have copied the same JSON data into my table, and I have selected the beneficiary table, the same data which was in a documented format, that is showing in the tabular format. Now moving to the next topic, that is a foreign data wrapper. Here in the foreign data wrapper, this is one of the way where we can pull the data from other data sources. So I have EDB Postgres at the center place, and from here I can pull the data from my MySQL or MariaDB or MongoDB. So these are my other data sources. I have another big data environment from where I can pull the data. Other data warehousing application and legacy systems are there on a SQL Server or Oracle. So EDB Postgres or Postgres gives a foreign data wrapper tool. This tool will connect with the other data sources, and as per your requirement, it will pull the data from these other data sources. So for that purpose, foreign data wrapper platform implements SQL or SQL management of external data. PostgreSQL supports read-only support as well as read-write support, uses this data other servers like native tables. It's like that we are working for other database table, but it will give you some look and feature that you are working on a native tables. It's available for MongoDB, CouchDB, Cassandra. So foreign data wrapper connects, these are the data sources, or Hadoop and MySQL. You can see the foreign data wrapper supported list on the particular website. So here is a MongoDB foreign data wrapper example. Now, what I have created, create extension MongoDB foreign data wrapper, create some, then I'll create Mongo server. When I'll create Mongo server, so that I will map to the particular Mongo server. I'll provide the IP address and the port of a MongoDB server. After that, I'll create the user mapping for Enterprise DB, because I will log in to my PostgreSQL server as an Enterprise DB user, and it will map to the Mongo server. I'll create foreign table Mongo data, and when I'll create foreign table Mongo data here, it will select, and I can insert the data into Mongo server, which is available in MongoDB. Mongo table, which is available in MongoDB server, and I can select the data from MongoDB server to my PostgreSQL. That's why here is an example that there is a data which is in a text format, document format in MongoDB, and I'm selecting this to my PostgreSQL server. It's like that I am working on my native table. So select star from Mongo data, where brand is Acme Limit 10. Another, I can insert into Mongo data same way. And one more thing that I'll show you here, that you can go to the, if you want to implement it, enterprisedb.com. You can go to the documentation. Here are the Mongo foreign data wrapper. So when you, if you want to build the Mongo foreign data wrapper, the documentation you can follow here, and they have given the overview of MongoDB, which supported platforms are there, how you can install installing the MongoDB foreign data wrapper using the RPMs, as well as features of MongoDB foreign data wrapper, the steps, the proper steps they have given, then configurations, then architecture overview here. So it will show you the MongoDB data wrapper provides the interface between MongoDB server and Postgres database. It transfers Postgres statement, select, insert, delete, update into the query that is understood by the Mongo database. So PostgreSQL client application is there. So here is an EDB Postgres Mongo foreign data wrapper extension is there. MongoDB C library, and that I will transfer and to and fro operation with the foreign data wrapper on the MongoDB database server. So that's steps of configurations you can see on this documentation. For the testing purpose, you can build a test environment and you can create the foreign data wrapper with the MongoDB. And the same, the example they have given here. So this is about the Mongo foreign data wrapper. And then I have the Hadoop foreign data wrapper. So we know that Hadoop, that definitely HDFS file system, distributed data processing is there. So if you have an environment that is a Hadoop foreign data wrapper, Hadoop data environment is there, and PostgreSQL gives that extension that is a Hadoop foreign data wrapper extension that allows you to access the data which is resides on the Hadoop file system. But here in between that there is a Hadoop server is there, or HiveQL, which understand your select queries passed to the Hadoop, and same day Hadoop will from there it will pull the data and give as per your required format. So Hadoop foreign data wrapper provides an interface between Hadoop file system and a Postgres database. So Hadoop data wrapper transforms a Postgres select statement into a query that understood by the HiveQL, QL or Spark interface. Again, for Hadoop, there is a Postgres client application. So Enterprise Postgres provides HDFS underscore FDW extension. So in between that, there is a Hive server or a Spark server, where it is an interface to convert your query, select query in the Hadoop data understand format. It will pass this query to the Hadoop system, and from there, the required data it will pull. So this is a Hadoop foreign data wrapper, and the same example you can see here on this website. For Hadoop foreign data wrapper, same requirement overview you can get. The documentation guide, architecture overview, that Hadoop data wrapper provides an interface between a Hadoop file system and Postgres data. So Hadoop data wrapper transfer a select statement into the query that understood by the HiveQL or a Spark QL interface. And when possible, the foreign data wrapper asks the HiveQL server to perform the action associated with the where clause. That means that you can pass to the select query. How you can install Hadoop foreign data wrapper? So that installation steps they have provided. Then you can update the Hadoop foreign data wrapper. Features, how we can use the select statement, or configuration. These are the configuration where you can create the foreign Hadoop server, then mapping with the Hadoop server. The required extensions are there. And this is the dummy server, I can say, that the create server which passed the query to the Hadoop server. So this is about your foreign data wrapper. Now, so why choose between the NoSQL and relational databases? First of all, think that ADB has done some performance benchmarking with NoSQL databases, and we observed that at the database loading at the select database or at the insertion level, definitely the PostgreSQL has given the better performance for your NoSQL data. Again, NoSQL data is an PostgreSQL is an ACID compliant. As part of the TCO cost avoidance, you can avoid the TCO cost reduction is there. It provides multiple tools, and we have the expertise in to manage your PostgreSQL environment, because we founded into EDB Postgres, or PostgreSQL is coming to the market in 1996 onwards. So the expertise are there. So additional staffing, definitely monitoring and management, software upgrades, you can get easily, bugs and fixes, the continuous Postgres releases every year with additional features. That's why it's our choice as per our requirement. The PostgreSQL can be chosen as the alternative for NoSQL databases. The security, this is the major concerns when compared to the NoSQL databases or the NoSQL database that is required. So PostgreSQL not only support at one layer, but it supports from database layer to the data center. Physical security is possible. The code, you can protect your code. You can do the encryption mechanism. The auditing functionalities are there. And as well as it compliances like PCI GDPR compliances are there though. So the applications which are the financial sector, they want to use NoSQL data, document data types, and the security is provided. So that's why this is a multi-layer approach for database security. Now, special database capabilities in PostgreSQL. So about the special database capabilities in PostgreSQL. First of all, what is a special database? The special database is nothing but the database which stores the data which is related to earth distance, which is related to the surface or the points or the polygons, and that will help you to connect with your GIS applications. So if you have the GIS applications are there, If you have the front end GIS tools are there, like QGIS tools are there, that will help you to connect with the, that will help you to store the spatial data. So here, the geometry data is there. When there is a geometry data, that is a plane earth surface where it has an X and Y axis are there. For my geography, yeah, geography, that is a spherical earth surface that is useful. Then raster data, any type of images or photos, 3D data, that is considered as a raster data. And there is a topology and polygon data are available. So this is the PostGIS data subtypes. So points are there, line string, multiple line strings are connected, polygons, and then multi-polygons, multi-line strings, and multi-points are there. So what I can do, this is the data, which is a geometry data, geography data, or the topology data. It is a spatial data is there. And for spatial data, when I have a spatial data, which is the, I can say that the map of Singapore. This is the spatial data. I want to calculate the distance between 2 points in my locations. Then definitely I can calculate that one. And for that one, you require some of the spatial database capabilities. I can use my structure query language, but when I'll use my structure query language, I should have that function that should support to calculate the distance between 2 points on the earth surface. That function I can get in the PostgreSQL. So when I want these functionalities to work on the spatial data, to work on the geometry, to work on the geography, uh, PostgreSQL gives the PostGIS extension, and that PostGIS extension gives multiple operators and functions. By using that multiple operators and function, I can do analysis. I can perform the GIS operations on my data. So for that purpose, first of all things, whenever we are doing an operations on your spatial data, that database should support to load the spatial data into the PostgreSQL. So here, uh, so Postgres gives some of the features in the form of raster to PGSQL or shape to PGSQL. From raster to PGSQL, I can load raster data to my PostgreSQL. From shape to PGSQL, I can load my shape data to the PostgreSQL. So in the next session, when there will be the next session or the next web series will next webinar series will be there. So I'll discuss in detail about how to load the data, how to load the shape file. Let's say I have a Singapore map, and when I'll download the shape file of my Singapore map, I will load the Singapore map file into my PostgreSQL, and I can see the entire map. I can see the particular location. Let's say that is a city hall and from Changi Airport. I can calculate the distance from City Hall to Changi Airport, and for that I can use the functions. So in that there is a command line interface that will provide to load the spatial data into the PostgreSQL. So here is some example I'm showing you to load the data, and that commands are raster to PGSQL and shape to PGSQL. Uh, uh, these are the functionality. Making SQL spatial. When you are using geometry data or geography data that is supported by SQL, you can build your structured query language, you can use your function, and you can process your spatial data with the help of SQL. So let's come to that point. So I'm going to show you some of the examples here. Uh, See, basic data structures is a point. When I'll consider the point, definitely there is a X and Y, that is a longitude and latitude projection. Line string is an array of points, and polygon is a closed line string. Spatial reference ID. Spatial reference ID is a coordinate reference system on Earth. So let's say that I want to calculate the distance between uh, two locations. That's why I should have to give some spatial reference ID in the GIS environment. So coordinate to match the coordinate system, and that's why that spatial reference ID is useful. I'll show you that. Again, the geometry field is what makes it table special. A geometry field, by using geometry data types, geometry data types, you can store my geometry data. And when I'll store my geometry data into the table, so that table will become a special data for me. So here, it is just column in the database that can store the feature geometry. And these are the functions that can output the geometry as human readable formats, that is st underscore as text. So I can see my geometry data in the text format. So for that, this is about geometry. And the geography, two different geometry based on plane earth surface. When I'll say plane earth surface, there is an x and y axis are there. And when I'll say geography based on circular earth, math behind calculation is definitely calculated. And when there is a circular earth is there, so definitely that is a geography. So geography is based on round earth, can only be geographic coordinate system for latitude and longitude. And some of the complex operations are required when I'll consider the round earth geography data types to calculate the uh, so I'll show you. See, these are the visual data formats. I have loaded the data, which was a geometry or a geography data, or I can say that spatial data. And that spatial data, to operate on that spatial data, I have the PostGIS extension, which is the additional plugged in capabilities on the PostgreSQL. This is the QGIS, is an open source GIS application tool where you can load the data, you can see the visual data of your GIS data. So these are the some of the location. And see here, select st underscore as text. I am geometry, again st as GeoJSON geometry. So these are the functions. So here the purpose to show you this function, that how the PostgreSQL has that function to work on the geometry as well as a geography. Yeah, geography this time might be complex to understand for you. It is an GIS terminologies are there, but those who are working on a GIS environment, definitely they can understand these functions. So I can insert cities. This is my geometry data. This is a geometry as into values and Bedford MA and ST geometry from text. So point, I'm converting this. Again, you can write a function to tell whether the given latitude or pair within the point or radius. You can calculate the distance. So these are the geometry from text to convert your geometry into text format. This is a spatial reference ID. I am pointing X and Y axis here. And for my next point, that is 71 point, and this is again reference ID. So I calculate the distance between 2 points. Similarly, all the powerful tools of RDBMS are available for you when you are working with the GIS data. So I'm using my standard query language select geom from ATM locations where exists. So this is my SQL, and I'm working on GIS data. So yeah, there are a number of functions here again, working with geometries, geometry type, ST coordinate, how many coordinate associate with each functions, then ST spatial reference ID, geometry spatial reference ID for the geometry. So a lot more functions are there when we create the PostGIS extension, and that will help you to do the GIS operations on your data. You can, as well as you can measure, we can do with the geometry, measure it, st underscore length, that is the functions which work with the geometry as well as the geography. 3D length line, then calculate the distance from other geometries. ST distance function is there. And I'll show you that apart from that, what is EDB Postgres? We have discussed about the PostgreSQL, that PostgreSQL features, PostgreSQL NoSQL capabilities, as well as PostgreSQL foreign data wrapper for other data sources. But what EDB has done on a PostgreSQL, so whatever the PostgreSQL features are there with NoSQL, that interface features that is added with the EDB Postgres. There are some of the limitations at the security levels at the PostgreSQL. Some of the replications have availability or as per the enterprise needs, that enterprise capabilities which you can find in the EDB Postgres. So for that one, so what EDB? EDB is the largest PostgreSQL company, and we have more than 5,000 customers. Over 308 expert technologies are there, and 28% around Fortune 500 companies are adopted EDB Postgres. Again, EDB Postgres multi-model database solutions known worldwide for being engineered specifically for consistency and stability. It works on PostgreSQL. All benefits, all features of community PostgreSQL are there with EDB Postgres. Apart from that, EDB Postgres provides tools to manage for your high availability, to manage your monitoring, as well as some of the replication functionalities, performance benefits you will get with the EDB Postgres. So if you choose PostgreSQL for your NoSQL environment or for your special data, the same thing you can work with the EDB Postgres, but EDB Postgres will give you some of the backup tools, some of the replications tools. And Postgres, yeah, definitely these are the things which we have already covered, and we have the customers which they are doing 20 to 50K type of transaction in a second and billions of transactions per day. Again, as there are other data sources, applications are there, the migrations, or for that one, EDB gives integration to integrate with the other data sources. EDB gives some integration and connectors. So we have the data adapters for Hadoop, MongoDB, MySQL, as well as the applications which might be in .NET or JDBC or in Java applications are there. So compatible connectors are offered by Enterprise DB. For Enterprise Postgres Manager, that is for the performance benefits. If your applications, multiple database instances are there, you want the statistics, you want to see the graphical statistics, or some of the notifications, some of the mail notifications are there. So Postgres Enterprise Manager gives the dashboard, it gives the advisories to tune your database, it gives you some performance guidelines. Some indexes are there and some of the indexes are not performing well. So you can just go to the index advisor and it will give you the advisory through the Postgres Enterprise Manager. Some of the parameter configurations, if you are not set properly and there is a performance bottleneck, you can take the advisory dashboard from the Postgres Enterprise Manager, and that will help you to monitor, to tune, and to manage your database instances. So these are the things which I have covered. Due to time constraints, I have just not shown you the demo. But as earlier we have discussed that the topics like NoSQL in detail, the topics like foreign data wrapper with demo, and the PostGIS, how the PostGIS, how we can load the data, how we can use these functions which I have shown here. The geometry functions are there for your special queries. That functionality you can we can discuss in the later part of our webinar, part 2, part 3 series, which I already discussed at the initial level. So then, yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you very much, Manshu. We are left with 5 minutes to the end of the session. There are quite a number of questions, and if we are not able to answer all your questions today, we will answer them via email. So maybe I just quickly read one or two questions out. Okay, there's a question here asking about setting up Mongo wrapper,
Mhm.
do we need to enable anything on Mongo database server to set up Mongo wrapper?
Can you repeat?
Okay, to set up Mongo wrapper, do we need to enable anything on Mongo database server?
Yes, we can. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I am getting some disturbance. Can you repeat again?
sure, sure. Okay, so this person is asking to set up Mongo wrapper, do we need to enable anything on Mongo database server?
Not required. You did not to do any Mongo database server. Just you have to the IP address of the Mongo database server and the port. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Another question, how about plugins to external monitoring tools like Prometheus?
Plugged in monitoring tool. Like
External monitoring tools like Prometheus.
Promistus, I don't have a idea about the Promistus. Let me check. I'll get back to you through the email. But there are the other monitoring tools for PostgreSQL like pgadmin4 at open source, then Postgres Enterprise Manager that is easily integrated with the PostgreSQL environment. And
Sure.
at the spatial database level, as I have shown you the QGIS is an open source that will help you to visualize the data in the graphical user interface format, as well as QGIS support the loading of the data, not only for PostgreSQL, the other databases like MySQL and other. And QGIS is an open source, a very best platform to do some GIS application, to do some GIS analysis with the help of QGIS.
Thank you, Manshu. Just maybe one last question. Is index update on JSON data, okay, let me repeat. Is index update on JSON data a synchronous process or asynchronous process?
Yes, both the way the index update on JSON data is possible on a store column.
Okay, thank you very much, Manshu. I'm not sure whether you can share some use cases of mixed workloads
Yeah,
like
yeah.
SQL and no SQL.
So we have a lot of use cases in the BFSI sector. We have some customers in Bangladesh. They are using the PostgreSQL for their NoSQL or NoSQL type of requirement. So they are using JSON, and there is an application requirement is there. They have the external files which is in the document data or the text data, which they brings this document data or text data from other data sources, and they are loading this document data into the PostgreSQL environment for their banking analysis purposes. At the same time, they have that is mobile banking system is there. As their mobile banking system is there, so they uses some GIS location operation on their this mobile banking, mobile ATM type of centers. So this is one of the use case which they are using GIS application data, NoSQL data, and mixed type of workloads are there. And we have some other healthcare domains are there. So we have these use cases where they have adopted PostgreSQL, not only for their RDBMS requirement, or I can say that structured data, but they are using for unstructured data, as well as some of the use cases are there where they are using foreign data wrapper for their analysis applications, uh, and they have used Hadoop foreign data wrapper.
Okay, thank you very much, Manshu. I think that's all the time we have. And thank you everyone for attending. Please note that we will be sharing the slide deck as well as the recording of this session to you via email in the next week or so. Also, for those whose questions are not answered, we will answer them via emails to you. So once again, thank you all for attending, and do look out for the promotion email for our next webinar next month. Thank you and have a good day. Bye.